There we go. All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host, Samantha Studebaker Carl, and I'm here with my good friends, Catherine and Sherry and Cheryl and Lori and Jason and Kenji and Jane. We have a full house today. This is awesome. Good to have everybody. Today, we are continuing our discussion. Okay, can't see my book because the background thing. Well, anyway, we're continuing our discussion of the book, Hunting Discomfort by Sterling Hawkins. And we are in chapter 2 on page 26 of the hard copy at the section called Change Your Lenses, Change Your Results. But before we get going with that, I want to give my friends an opportunity to introduce themselves. And then Catherine, you can take it from there and read for us a little bit. All right, everybody, jump out.
Lori Emmons in Denver.
Hi, Lori.
Good.
Cheryl Schuster in Eldersburg, Maryland.
Jason Roberts in Tampa.
Cheryl Brown from Sykesville, Maryland.
Jane Bench from, you can call it Eldersburg or Sykesville.
Maryland? Another one. Wow.
Maryland, yeah. 3 of us went in for Maryland, from Maryland.
Kenji, I'm in Portland, Maine.
This is Catherine Clement. Change your lenses, change your results. Another primary way to determine if it is time for new lenses is to check in with your results. Remember how my school grades were being affected by my inability to see the chalkboard clearly? Think about which areas in your life you are not getting the results you want. Let's say that you can't see the words on this page as clearly as you'd like. Instead of throwing the whole book away, you can simply get a pair of reading glasses to see the page clearly, though this does require facing up to the uncomfortable reality that your vision isn't 20/20. It's the same way in other areas. If you aren't getting the results you want, you don't have to throw out that relationship, business, or idea. Instead, you can change your lens of belief. The CEO of a multi-billion-dollar private grocery company, let's call him Joe, approached me a few years ago to work with his company because he was convinced that they weren't able to innovate. It's just the way it is, he told me. Our industry just isn't fast to move or try new things. This company's capabilities and knowledge were impressive. It had operations nailed, marketing was on point, and it had every metric you could imagine to measure and track results. Any suggestions I had for possible areas to innovate were met with answers that already had on hand. It seemed like every sentence out of the leadership's mouth started with, I know, I can't, or that won't work because. It was as if the entire company had boxed itself into exactly the results it was getting. There was just no wiggle room. All those metrics and models helped the leadership feel totally justified in their answers. And yet, it all started to sound like excuses after a while. Joe and his leadership team were perceiving their business through a belief that knowledge could save them from uncertainty, and they were clinging to it with all their might. This company was not unusual in this. Many of us are quick to have all the answers, but if you don't have the results you want, over some period, of course, it's time to consider if you too could be peering through a limiting lens of belief. When the team went through several exercises to identify and let go of some of those limiting beliefs, such as how things had to go, all of a sudden, brand new openings for actions and ideas emerged from the team, not from me. What had started as a previously quiet and subdued group transformed into the most talkative crowd imaginable. The energy in the room went from apathetic to electric. In a matter of weeks, several pilots of new ideas were up and running, unheard of in their line of businesses. You get what you believe. Ever wonder why you can watch 2 news stations covering the same story but presenting entirely different facts and conclusions? Or go to 2 investment advisors, show them the same figures, and walk out the door with 2 completely different investment plans that are the absolute best way to go? There's a reason Republicans and Democrats can't look at the same world that we all do and draw radically different conclusions and produce data to prove they're right. It's called confirmation bias. And it's not just done by the media and the politicians. We all do it. It's how our brains work. Our brain is a little bit like a lazy detective. Once it has a belief in place, it begins to back up that belief by cherry picking evidence to support it and conveniently filtering out evidence that disproves it. It's hardwired to do this. Our excuses are often driven by our confirmation bias because they provide very easy and compelling reasons for something not working out. I didn't have enough time. There wasn't enough money. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have the right degree. My boss is out to get me. I don't have the right technology. There's a global pandemic. You get the picture. It is far simpler to slap an excuse on something and call it solved than it is to challenge and change a belief. And confirmation bias will make sure that every single example that could be interpreted as something not working out because of whatever excuse you're using will now be collected, labeled, and filed away as evidence that this excuse is a fact. And then you wonder why you're stuck. Here's the thing. You're right. I said your brain was lazy, not stupid. You might not have the results you want because of money, time, your age, your boss, or any other circumstance, but those things aren't where you can make a difference. Spending time dwelling on those reasons is the biggest hindrance to growth. Ultimately, it's the beliefs you have about those resources, materials, circumstances, and so forth that are at play. It's the beliefs you have about what you can do within a certain amount of time, the beliefs you have about what you can do with a certain budget, or what's possible within a pandemic. Tony Robbins, arguably the most popular personal development coach in the world, teaches that it's not an issue with your resources, it's an issue with your resourcefulness. Those beliefs are powerful. Johns Hopkins professor Kurt Richter in the 1950s concluded through an experiment that rats could tread water 240 times longer when they believed they'd be rescued soon, compared to when they had no reason to believe this. Whether they're working for you or against you, those lenses of belief are massively powerful and will determine your results. Next time you aren't getting the results you want, instead of grabbing the hall pass of an excuse, try examining your beliefs at a deeper level. When you start to shift your beliefs about yourself and the world around you, expect change. To quote Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Case closed. Do you want to talk about that or continue?
I'm having a hard time not jumping out and saying it doesn't work with 100% of issues. Maybe business, I'm sure, and I have worked for 30 some years to change my lens of belief that if we are all part of, if you want to say God's creation, whatever universe creation, I can't figure out how to make my body work the way it's supposed to work, the way it was designed. And I've tried anything and everything natural. I've tried a few pharmaceutical things and it just doesn't work. And I'm sure there's others of you in this group that's like, okay, why can't I change these beliefs or make it work the way I want it to or it's supposed to? And whatever that term was about the thinking. What did the book refer to that as?
You mean confirmation bias?
Yes, thank you. Talk to my body all the time and say, I'm my body is healthy and whole, steady and strong. It doesn't listen.
I so understand that, Lori, and I know there's others in the group that do too. And I think where I had to change my belief about things was that my body isn't exactly the way it's supposed to be for whatever reason that I don't understand. But I had to come to that surrender part. I mean, I still try things all the time. Matter of fact, this patch I just found, what, a month or two ago, like that's the most amazing thing I've ever experienced in my life. So you put it on, the pain is gone. You take it off, the pain is there. Like it's amazing. So, um, yeah, I mean, I hear myself saying that this won't get better or that won't get better. And, I kind of correct myself and try to always keep myself in line around my health and think positively and do everything that I can. But I also I had to just change my belief about that my body is supposed to be like everybody else's. To me, that was the belief I had to change.
It's not so much that for me, it's not about everybody else. It's the teachings about limitless possibilities and attraction marketing and all kinds of things that I don't know. I'm so grateful I don't deal with pain. And I'm so glad you found that to help you.
I would say that there's probably a few things. There's part of it is acceptance where you are. But there's also there's infinite possibilities that things could change. And sometimes I mean, we deal with duality all the time in this world. So to me, I think it's accepting that duality, accepting that your deep desires are acknowledged by the universe, and that if you try to, if you believe that at some point in time something's going to come along to help you, just like it did with, I think Catherine was just saying, this patch, that there is that possibility. But accepting what's going on now is important too. So
Trust me, I am accepting that. It's not like I'm living in denial, and I don't want to change this into let's take care of Lori, let's help her out.
But I understand your frustration too. Yeah, I'm afraid there's no easy answers. I feel like just listen to your guidance and your gut, and try to be as positive as you can. Although that's difficult, I'm sure. Yeah.
In some ways, I have developed my own way of dealing with it, and it's my strange or witty sense of humor about it or whatever, and I understand, and am coming to the decision that, or not the decision, but the understanding that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing. And a lot of the medical professions are just like, oh no, try this or try that. And anyway, moving on, let's.
Well,
I think go ahead, Jane.
No, I was just going to say I do think it's helpful to express vent and express. And so I'm glad you're doing that, Lori. And I appreciate that how, if I could use the word authentic, you're being, and would you mind if I asked you what your health problem is?
Multiple sclerosis.
Oh, you're one of the ones with MS. I know a few of you have MS, and you're a
It's
great support for each other.
it's a major epidemic, and I swear it's probably something in the food supply, and
Wow.
just
Yeah, I hear
carrying
you.
on.
Yeah. Yeah, in spite of it, carrying on in spite of the difficulties you're encountering. But knowing, if it were me, and it could be, who knows, I would just know every moment that there's guidance, that there is a spiritual realm that provides us with comfort and possibilities for the situation to change. And you know that, and you've expressed that.
I couldn't, continue on. You look outside and think how amazing this creation is, and so grateful for it. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
keep carrying on, continuing,
Yeah.
keep on trucking.
That's right.
You got to be one of those rats, Lori. I have to go back to the rats because that was an amazing experiment to me. The rats would swim, would it say 240 times longer if they thought they were going to be rescued than they would if they didn't think. So that just speaks to the
Absolutely.
power of hope. Like hope
You,
is, and
remember that
Kenji, you can
experiment?
speak to this.
That's
I'm
such
sorry,
a
what?
cool experiment. I mean, it's such a cool experiment because the when they put them in there and pull them out just before they drown, then they feed them, and then they get them all back up again, and they put them back in the water again. But this time, because they were rescued the first time, they have hope, and that's where they swim. I mean, like 10 times longer than they did the first time, where they sunk to the bottom and died. It's a very true experiment. So, I mean, I think it's true with humans too, and we do have a choice. I mean, even if life was really shitty, you could dwell on how shitty it is, and it's going to be shitty, no matter what. But you could also have an attitude that it could be different. There's unlimited potential that good things could happen, and maybe nothing changes. Maybe the circumstances around you are exactly the same, but the attitude. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
it's like being on a life raft. It's like we all know we're going to die. We're in the middle of the ocean. We only have a few days, and we could dwell on it and cry and woe is us the whole time and be miserable, and then we die. Or we could accept our fate and maybe enjoy the last 3 days we've got, as alive and as human beings. I don't know. This thing that I've got, it just came out of nowhere. It could be MS. It could be, it's in my family. It's got its roots in the DNA. But the pain that I have, the way I've got to live is what's really, really difficult to accept. It's incredibly disabling. So, you guys can't hear me? Yeah.
We can
I'm
hear you.
so sorry that you have to deal with pain. And I completely understand if you don't have any faith or hope or love, that could make a major difference.
But I think for a lot of us, this for me goes all the way back to birth. I mean, I've done the work, I've gone back and I rebirthed myself, and I get the whole little baby me, and I've done a lot of work to heal. But I think the body takes maybe it takes longer, or maybe it's just not gonna come back. You know, I mean, I always had hope that the old me would come out and that I would be me again. But the fact remains is that it is the way it is, and the longer I don't accept what it is, then I can't get on with my life. So I kind of accepted what's happened to me, and I'm just trying to live the best I can live and create something, create something for myself by having peace and love and all that good stuff on the inside.
And I think we're doing all a fabulous job.
Well, I'm really glad to be here with all of you guys. So thank you.
Me too.
I wanted to point out that this section really reminds me of Wayne Dyer's Excuses Be Gone, about how to get rid of those excuses. And you said it, Kenji, when you said you can choose which perspective you have, and our perspective is our reality.
I do a lot of
Absolutely.
thought elimination, which means I choose not to. I mean, I could, but I mean, I know what's going to happen, and unfortunately, some thoughts that you think about, or if you entertain them, and if they have feeling behind them, and you continue to think about them, that can make you ill. That causes autoimmune diseases and a whole bunch of things. And yeah, Dr. Wayne Dyer was somebody that I listened to as well.
Y'all should have been here when we studied one of his books. It took us over a year to get through that book, I want to say, didn't it? That was a good one, though. We've read some really good books. I wish you had all been here for all of them.
There's
Well,
a
I would,
book,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. No,
I was just
Sherry,
going
go
to
on.
point, yeah, I was pointing out there's a book called NLP that I'm listening to through the library on Hoopla, and it covers, it stands for neuro linguistic plasticity, and it helps you change the way you're forming thoughts and what you're telling yourself, because our verbiage even dictates our future and the words that we use and say. So, that whole fake it till you make it kind of mentality
Oh, I
does
hate that.
help. You hate them? Well,
I've tried that too.
it's
How much?
about perspective, to make your own perspective.
Right, I understand that. But how can I fake that? I know how to walk. I've been there. I've done that. But I can't convince my body to get up and do it.
That's a little different.
That is different, yeah.
That you can't, and I'm right there with you. There are certain things I cannot do, and I just accept that that's the way it is. And I get that frustration, Lori.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not doing a woe is me party today.
No, you're not. No, I don't feel that at all from you.
Oh, good. Just the idea of faking it.
Have you ever thought, Lori, of trying to vision yourself walking? I mean, not that that's the whole can of worms, but that's
Every night that I have a dream, I'm walking, running around. I walked clear across town one night.
yay.
I believe that, limitless possibilities, because I do believe in a creator and the source of all this beauty and amazement and just.
I think that the challenges that we're given too, it's that process of trying to find that sweet spot, is part of the journey. I mean, your journey is somehow trying to find the tools not only to help you deal with life, but to help you to heal, and which we believe that that's possible, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's not an easy thing. And it kind of the recipe is different for all of us. So your journey is going to be different than somebody else's journey. But nevertheless, I think it's important to never stop believing that your life could change for the better. Oops.
Oh,
Sorry.
I totally believe that.
Okay,
Samantha,
good.
what did you want to say?
Oh, I was just gonna jump out and touch on this concept that has kind of come about in the last, I don't know how many years, that has told us that we are capable of healing ourselves from the inside out. You know, like we can do it just by thinking about it, or whatever it is. You know, there's this whole big industry, if you will, or you know, whole,
Joe
I don't know what
Dispenza.
what'd you say, Kenji?
Joe Dispenza. I mean, I
Yeah.
listened to him for a long time, and I like him.
Uh-huh.
But keep going. You're on the right tangent. Keep going.
Right. So we have this whole concept that we're capable of healing ourselves. And when we are faced with a thing that we're struggling with, what, you know, that is a health issue, we we tend to like latch on to that idea of I can heal myself in some way. I'm going to be able to do this. And I think it's great that we have that hope that at some point we're going to be able to heal ourselves, right? But yet at the same time, I think that that can also hinder us from having the great life experience that we are capable of, because we're trying to fix something that is almost like a brick wall. You know, we're trying to knock down this brick wall that's in front of us in order to get to whatever's on the other side that we think we're missing out on because of our issue that we're having. And I don't want to say that we shouldn't be hopeful, because obviously we should. I think that as a, you know, if we're thinking in terms of this, you know, we're all one and we're all, you know, part of this greater um, universe or dimensions, in terms of if we get down into quantum reality and all of that, I think it's possible that we can heal ourselves in that way. But right now we haven't reached that. We haven't reached that level in evolution to be able to do it. And I think that what Sterling is kind of getting at is recognizing the things that are uncomfortable to accept, and also recognizing the things that we can look at in a different way of, yes, I have this brick wall in front of me that I just can't figure out how to overcome, but what can I do? And what, you know, let's just say it's something that we want to do in our lives that we think we can't do because of blank issue that we're faced with that we can't fix. Is that what can I do? How can I look at this from a different perspective and achieve the feeling I'm trying to get by reaching this goal of whatever it is? You know, obviously I'm not going to be able to, at this point in time in our evolution, overcome this disability in order to achieve the walking, you know. But what feeling is that I'm trying to gain by achieving the walking or whatever, you know? And how can I get at it from a different way? How can I get that same feeling in some other way? And so I think it's really a matter of just changing a perspective on exactly what it is that I want. Because, you know, I was learning a number of years ago, there was this teacher that I was following. I can't remember what his name was, but he was talking about how we all have these perceived goals in mind of, say, you know, for example, I want to live in a big house or whatever. And I can't figure out how to get there. And I'm working and I think I'm doing all the right things and I want to get there, but it's not working. And he said to question ourselves and say, you know, what is it you really want once you achieve that house? What is it that you want to feel? What, you know, why do you want that big house? And then, you know, you kind of dig into it and you say, okay, well, I want that big house because, you know, I'll feel like I've, you know, achieved, I don't know, I've gotten a higher level of success or whatever. And then he says, well, why do you want that feeling of success? And then you're like, well, because then I've reached another level of success or whatever. And then he's like, well, why do you want that? Why not? And you keep asking the question of why do you want this? Why do you want that? Until you get deep, 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 deep down into it. And for most of us, I feel like once you get down to that deep, deep, deep desire of what it is you think that you want, is that ultimately the thing that you want is happiness. And happiness can be achieved in ways other than just this way or just that way, or just by getting a new car or getting a new house or having a more successful business or earning more money or, all of these things that we think that we want. And so that made, for me, that was a huge mind shift or reality or belief or whatever kind of a shift, that then I started focusing more on what are the things that are making me happy right now versus these things I think that I want that I can't figure out how to get to. And so that was kind of just my thought process on this whole thing of him, talking about changing the way that you're looking at things and, to reach a particular goal or, whatever it is. It's like I'm kind of thinking sometimes we even have to redefine what our actual goal is and then look at it from another way. How can I achieve this ultimate goal of what it is I really want? That's my thought.
Well, and that goes back to Wayne Dyer, change your thinking, change your life, but you said it really, really well, Samantha. You dug deep into to your explanation. I can appreciate that. What I do sometimes, at least once a year, if not more, there's, Wayne Dyer has a free video that you can access on called The Shift, the movie called The Shift. So it's sometimes it's really, it's helpful. Sometimes we need those reminders that, what's really important. I mean, do you remember toward the end of his life, he lived in Hawaii and he accrued a lot of things, and he got to the point where he wanted to simplify, simplify, simplify. So he kind of gave away a lot of his things. He even, his clothes, a lot of his books, the things that he held, sacred. And so that sort of changed him. And not that I'm saying that we all need to do that, but he gives us a great perspective on how to try to change your thinking or change your way of life to really make some changes that will bring you some deep contentment, which is where he was before he passed away. So
Yeah, I understand that. I am totally content with where I'm at. I've gone through and cleaned out. I've gotten rid of anything, I'm pretty much a minimalist. I don't have any big old desires to accomplish something. I don't know. I'm trying to write a book or two or 10, whatever, but trying to define what it is I'm here to do. Thinking about the other books we've read. And anyway.
Lori, I'd like to point out one thing, something that shocked me. I was being interviewed for someone's paper once, and it was a student of mine, and she asked me what I regret in life. And it sort of stunned me for a minute. I stepped back and I reflected, and I actually told her there's nothing, because if what would you change? And regret is about changing things, and it would change the person I am if I changed my happenstance that I lived through and I learned from. And so it's really about moving forward, not about changing before.
Yeah, I'm always searching for that. Where do I, or how do I move forward, and what you know, that's not it either. I don't know. Anyway,
I imagine it is hard. The
Well,
fact that you're here doing this and trying to move forward, I mean, this is all about self-growth. So I think it reflects really well on the fact that you participate here. You're part of the group.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, I was. Yeah, Lori, think about the simplistic level what you're doing for yourself. You're connecting with people, you're expressing yourself. You have acceptance and love and connection with this group that you've been with for, I don't know if you've been with these folks for the 10 years that they started.
no,
No.
I think this is like second year,
Oh, okay. But
maybe
it seems
third.
to me like you picked a great group. And so if, you know, sometimes if we focus on one thing that we've done for ourselves, it's really good, and build on that, you know. To me, it's about finding connections with people, and that's really enriching. And they provide me with different perspectives and uplift me, as well as discussing books and different perspectives and things that are, positive and that kind of ground us and helps us to stay positive and move forward. So,
Absolutely. I met
mhm.
Catherine first doing business things or whatever, and then she told me about the group, and so
Yeah, I seem to, when I leave this group, I always feel a good vibe, a good app like, that was a couple of hours well spent. And, sometimes it's like, that's enough for me to charge me up, you know? So to me, it's the simplistic things, the core values, like that of just friendship and trading thoughts and being in discussion, where we're trying to help each other understand something. That's important. So,
yep. Thank you.
I think it's interesting how it uses the metaphor of a lens for this, and in like what, and I also think that, well, the lens, we're not only dealing with our own lenses, we're dealing with the lenses of the people that we interact with throughout the day too. So I think a lot of times it's the more difficult thing for me is to how I handle other people's um, confirmation bias, and how they see things, and but I really, it's funny when you mentioned the word hope, Catherine. I was thinking the same thing, and in line with a lens, we has a lot to do with where we focus, and with what we focus. And I think, hope can be one of those um, I don't know, like angles of refracting that we use and choose to focus our lens through, if you will, if that makes any sense. But the also, in addition to a lens, maybe it can be considered a filter, and a filter in a good way, um, that we're able to maybe construct a filter in which we're able better um, to better deal with other people's way of looking at things. Um, you know, and as a practical example, it's just so frustrating sometimes when you're going through your daily routines, and though you have those things that, you know, want to bring you down, you choose to have the right thoughts and the right um, inner speak and the right outlook, good outlook on life, and you come across others who, I guess, they think they're doing you a favor by just saying things like, well, it is what it is, or, you know, these cliches that really have no hope, no um no, they just seem to lack promise, you know, and and sort of takes the wind out of your sails. And so maybe developing a better filter to be ready and have on hand when you're working with other or experiencing other people's way of looking at things, so that we can say, well, that's, I don't know, just that's the way they were brought up, or hey, they're trying, they're, you know, but because at the same time you can't you can't stop at the moment and try to adjust their focus, um, or change their way of thinking, or, you know, because they may be perfectly happy with where they are, and we're all experiencing that same event that at at the same time, but in a different way. So a lot of it is really, I think a lot of it is kind of about that, and being able to carry our own focus through to where we are achieving things that make us feel like we're kind of having that definition in our life that I think you were mentioning, that pursuing that purpose. I like what Jane was mentioning, that, you know, just by being here, you're impacting all of us and helping us in ways that, you know, perhaps you're not really realizing, but it's wonderful. So I always get a lot out of what everybody says, and you're no different. So I really
I do
appreciate you.
too. It's, you want to change ear, let you have my glasses. You can look at life this way or whatever, and let's fix that. And happy to be here.
That's powerful. Thank you. You know, and the idea of someone walking through, someone was saying something that it came, I think maybe it was you, Samantha, and it came to my, you're giving us that great understanding, see, about, you know, digging into your reasons why, and how sometimes you might have to go a little bit further to get to a point where you can recognize the way, another way forward, I guess. And it's kind of brought to my mind the idea of, like, a person walking through the desert, and it's kind of like, you may know what you want, but you don't know quite how to get it yet. And so, like, what do you do in the meanwhile? um, you know, do you just, you know, sit there, or do you keep walking, with the hope, with the focus on the hope, and in finding what you're looking for? I think, anyway.
I understand there's definitely a core of the hope and understanding, and for some reason I'm to go through this to find what who knows what. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I
We're
was
all,
reminded of another book that we read not too long ago. Well, I mean, I say not too long ago, it was all of them not too long ago, but A while back, we read the book Your Soul's Plan by Robert Schwartz, I think it
Yes.
was. And
We read that too. Cheryl and Sherry and I are in a spiritual book
yeah,
club, and we read that, and oh my God, wasn't that it was fabulous?
that whole concept of planning out your life before you come here with these like specific challenges that
Mhm.
we want to go through to learn some lesson that we know we want to learn when we're on the other side, but we have no idea what that lesson is once we get here. And that was a shift in belief for me about, what this reality is supposed to mean. And just the idea of, okay, I planned this all out with all the players in my life as participants of it. And there's a purpose in it, and that I'm the one that designed the purpose, and it's my job here in this life to figure out this game, or overcome this challenge, or recognize whatever it is that I'm supposed to learn from this thing. And that was it was kind of like I don't know what it's just a real crazy mind shift idea. And I refer back to that sometimes when I'm struggling with something. And I feel, I don't know, some kind of comfort in it, I guess, that okay, I'm doing this on purpose. I meant to do this. And now I just got to figure out what it is I'm trying to figure out. And so then it becomes a puzzle, it becomes kind of a game, if you will, of trying to, overcome this challenge that I'm annoyed by, or this frustration, or whatever it is. And I don't know. Sometimes I just like to think of this place as if it's just a big video game that I'm just playing, and I need to stop taking it so freaking seriously. Yeah. So
I know. And there's also I've read books, maybe even in that one, where it's like, lighten up, yeah, it may seem difficult, but try to look at it as it's exciting that we get to be placed in a situation maybe that's a little difficult and challenging, but we can not only muster through, but we can find really little golden nuggets in it, and have these aha moments, and we can have help along the way, by meditation, by prayer, even just, visualizing. There's if you pay attention a lot to books like A Soul's Plan, they're going to give you some good information of how to have a good mindset and how to look at it differently, in a more positive sense, and help you when you're going through those really bad days, So
I was here when we went through that book, and it all has some little morsels to pick up along the way and put them in your little trinket bag, whatever it is that, remember this, or anyway.
yeah. And just knowing that it's not just, it's each of us. Each of us has their own burden,
Right.
their own challenges. And none of us are free of just, happy. I read somewhere recently where if you realize the meaning of life isn't to be happy, the meaning of life is to learn more about yourself. It was, I think it was more than that, but yeah, that
I understand what you're saying. I totally,
yeah.
I pretty much would say I'm happy. I am accepting of, okay, this is where I'm at. I got to go through this. I got to deal with this. And my roommate has cerebral palsy, and he, we is amazed by how well I deal with everything that I've lost. And I'm amazed at how well he deals with everything that he never had. He was never able to walk perfectly, he without crutches or something, you know. Anyway,
I bet he was part of your soul plan. I bet he was in your, right?
I
Huh?
know sometimes I swear I met him when I was a little child, whatever, but I don't necessarily, I've never come up with anything to tell me yeah, you knew him, one of those aha moments. Aha, that's where it is. That's where it came from. I
Yeah, and
don't
maybe
have that.
you were meant to live together to help each other and learn from each other. And yeah, I mean, I feel like Sherry and Cheryl were part of my soul group, definitely, because we've been part of this spiritual book club for, oh God, I can't even remember how many years. It's probably been at least, I don't know, 7 years. I don't know.
But then we
But
were at the spiritual center since what, 2013? So it's
yeah,
been a
but
long time. Yeah, 10
it's,
years.
yeah. Um, yeah, so at least 10 years, I guess. And we sometimes marvel at our growth, our spiritual growth, our growth as how close we've all become, and how we're just intermingled in each other's lives, and it's important, and it feels
And I
right.
think it's so cool how your longtime group met our longtime group.
I think it was meant to be.
I
Hello.
think so.
Yeah.
I know, I just had that thought when you were saying how long you guys have been doing it, and I know how long we have, and there was a little something in the book that was talking about, I think it's actually in the next section. I hate to jump ahead, but it was talking about this group belief kind of thing, where you've been with a group for a long time and you start to have these kind of set ideas about things. And um, and I feel like we've been together for such a long time that we've, kind of gone into this, mode where we all kind of have really similar beliefs about stuff. And I'm sure that you guys have had the same thing. And so it makes me wonder if us coming together is to help us all have different perspectives that we haven't had before. And because I have recognized over the years that every time a new person joins our group, is I start to get another way of thinking, or I see things that we've talked about before and a whole new perspective. And that's the thing I love so much about this ability for us to come together in this way and have these conversations, because I would never have gotten these insights on my own just reading the book. And I don't think people realize how powerful it is to do this, to read these books that have deep thoughts and challenging beliefs and that sort of thing, and then discuss them with other people. I mean, it's such a powerful thing. And early on, we were really, I don't know, we were so focused on trying to grow the group and grow this and be all about trying to get out there as much as we can to affect the world and improve change and be the pebble in the pond or that kind of thing. And over time we realized that we weren't meant to do it in that way. We were meant to do it in a different way. And so we kind of let go of that and just started working on what ourselves and focusing on what we had to offer each other who was already here. And then over time, we've had people join for a while, and then we've had people that have come along and stuck. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we have done exactly what we had intended to do from the get-go, and that was to uplift our world. Even though it's just the few of us, I know that every single one of us is impacting our whole group of people, who is impacting other people, who's impacting other people. And I know that I mean, it's just, we did it the way that it was supposed to be. And and you guys, it sounds like you're doing the exact same thing. And here we are coming to, it just amazes me how everything works sometimes. It just boggles my mind how interconnected, and yet we just don't even realize how interconnected we are until we're faced in a situation right here and we're just like, huh, isn't that
Mhm.
something? So
Mm-hmm.
So I
Isn't
was
it
just
just
watching. I was just watching something earlier today, and it's about this woman that I've met actually, and at a group, and she had a near-death experience, and that's exactly kind of what she said in her life review. She saw how everything that she said and everything that she did had an effect, and there was times when she was kind and to someone, it really had an effect on that particular person, and how their day just got so much better. And it's like the pebble in the pond. Whenever we do anything that's positive, and and I have to try to remember not to rage about things that I have no control over. But whenever we are positive and we're sending out that energy, that positive energy, that really does have an effect on the whole, and we are all connected. I heard
Yep.
once that we're a part of that, to the cellular level, we're a part of the stars and the earth and the angels. So I always kind of try to refer back to that.
Yeah, I recently heard that too, that we are all, if you zoom way out there in the outer space and look down, we are just a speck. We are all just a cosmic speck of dust, and how we all interact and intertwine creates the fabric that we're all, it's like we're walking on the surface of the ocean. We're not just a drop of water in the ocean. We are the ocean in a drop.
Profound. Very good.
I wish I could say I came up with that. It's just something I picked up along the way.
It's still very worthwhile that you said it. So, whether you picked it up along the way or whether you originated it,
I'm
I also
spreading
think,
it around.
yeah, thanks for sharing. I mean, I also think, along with what Cheryl said, is that literally our thoughts radiate out to the universe, and it raises the conscious, our positive thoughts, and especially love and kindness and compassion, all of those like wonderful God qualities. It raises the consciousness level of the collective consciousness,
Yeah.
and I think that's what we're here to do, to get positive results, to in the end, that's how we make a better world, is not only just uplifting as our physical body, but that really has our energy, our heart energy really has an effect on the universe, and especially on this earth. Yeah.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
I just recently learned that let me see if I can get it right, about our hearts are magnetic and attract things to it, and our thoughts are electric. Our mind is electric and our heart is magnetic. So our thoughts really, and I decided that my purpose, since I sit in this wheelchair, or I sit on the toilet, or I sit in the office chair, or whatever, when I'm sitting here, I'm just anchoring the light and love, that I'm the anchor sitting here holding down the best part of what I can project out.
That's lovely.
Well, I
Yes.
like
And we thank
like
you
that.
for that, Lori.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And I
I
think
also like how you finished it up with the projecting part,
Mhm.
because as well, while you guys are talking, I'm thinking, and how you mentioned like the universe is so vast, and at the same time um, we're all a big part of it, and we're looking where we, what if not only it makes a big difference about the lenses that we use, and perhaps we have multiple lenses of energy to work with through our heart, through our mind, through our spirit, that we may choose to utilize at times. But what if at the same time we are the lens, both singularly and as a whole, for a bigger purpose, or you know a bigger you know uh, God, or universal type of a thing. But that's very, and again, I like the way you were saying, not only as an anchor for love, but also projecting that out. Thank you.
Well, they say that the when people meditate, when you try to get a lot of people to meditate at the same time, that they've noticed that there's a drop in crime, there's a drop in other negative things that happen in society, that can really make an impact. And that's powerful to me. That means that, especially, singularly, we're powerful, energetic beings, but in a group, we're really powerful, and so I love to
I'm
think
good.
Mhm. Yeah.
So just gonna say the same. I think that I'm glad to be part of a group here that we are all anchoring in to this, trying to make a difference. We're figuring out how to change the world.
You change the world just by being here, Lori. You
So do you.
do.
Yeah.
When I was a nurse, I helped a lot of people as a nurse. But there's something called time, which is imaginary, but somehow we live by it. And so there was only so many hours in the day and so many one-to-one interactions that I could have in a day. And so when my career got taken away from me, it was really super challenging. I had to redefine my identity, my purpose, everything. And but one of the my guides talk to me constantly. So one of the things that my guides told me was that I can affect more change in this condition because I'm focused globally now, energetically, as
Mhm.
opposed to when I was working one-on-one, if that
Mhm.
makes any sense.
That's
So
awesome.
they helped me see that was a purposeful and very powerful improvement for my purpose here, even though to me it was, getting thrown off a horse and screwing up my body and all of that. So, I'm so grateful to my guides because they helped keep me straight about how powerful we can be, even when we feel we're at our most helpless. Like when I was completely bedbound and I couldn't walk and I was in my wheelchair and all that stuff, I could still get on and broke, I have to throw that in there. Like I could still get on every free energy show. I got into the Shift Network and all of these different people. I had to occupy my brain. It was something I was doing for distraction as well, but it really opened me up to how much effect we can have when we're just stuck in one place if we choose to keep our perspectives, in the right kind of place. I mean, Kenji and I are in some groups with people that are literally, suicidal. And I have been there myself. And I can say that regardless of what I was actually experiencing at the time, it was my focus on there not being any hope. And that's why hope is such a huge word to me, because when there's no hope and when your focus gets really, focused down and you're just focused on what you can't do, life it sucks. It just sucks. Like, it just sucks. But when you remember that you're a spirit here in a body, and although that body may have limitations, your spirit has no limitations at all. And we always have to keep that in mind, because our guides can bring things that change. Technology changes every day. We learn new things every day. So you never know when something is just going to come up, like this daggone patch, It's just, there could be a patch because, Lori, what's going on in your body is electrical. And so just like this patch can help my pain, which is electrical, there could be a patch out there, and I'll do more investigation, that could help something electrical in your body as well. There's just so many things that we don't know about that
Yeah.
other people know about, and it just comes through. I call it grace, that those things come to us sometimes at our very lowest point, when we just feel like we can't go on any further, and then suddenly there's this magical happening that comes in and kind of saves the day. So it's like, what was that cartoon where that guy coming to save the day? Talking about like Dudley Do Right or somebody. Yeah.
Right.
Here I come to save the day.
Yes.
Was
that
that
Mighty
Ken?
Mouse?
That Ken?
I'm shocked that you're aware of that, Jason. I thought that was for old people like me.
I think there's been a resurgence of old cartoons,
Thank
for
goodness, because the
yeah.
new ones is not even funny.
But Catherine is so right. I think that her perspective, that I think our guides and maybe our angels, people, and also maybe people in our family that are close by. I know Cheryl's mom, Cheryl feels her mom real close to her, and so does Sherry, because they were very, very, the love was really intense. So those are people too that are kind of on your side, on the other side, so to speak. And I bet they're helping to try to find different ways to make your life easier, all of our lives easier. And so, and that to me is part of the hope, is that, and you, in our spiritual group, we look at things as you look at them as already done. You pray in an affirmation, and so, and the knowing that I know spirit and my spiritual team are working on a solution to my difficulties, and they're and having that knowing can create amazing things.
Exactly. And when I was younger, I really thought that religion, if you want to call it, because religion is man-made, not spirit-made, and so many different beliefs and religions, and I thought that was the answer, even though that part of it I believe and understand that is the creator, the the one responsible for all this. And like, otherwise I can't figure out how to explain it. There is a creator that made all this synergism. This animal helps that animal, and every person has a responsibility and a job description to live the life they're living. And depending on how you project it out, how you anchor it down, and all that is, like I was saying, zoom way out and realize that we're all just a speck. But then when you zoom in to your speck, it's the polarities, the opposite. Everything has an equal and opposite. It's not, what did I see yesterday or day before about sorry, I get all these things through my head and don't express them very well. Asked a professor if never mind, I should it's just the absence of light. It's the absence of what is there, you know, where's the darkness, the polarity.
You're talking about my post on Einstein, I think, are you? Where he was challenging his professor. Yeah,
You did that. I know.
Yeah, I do that kind of shit.
No, well, tell me.
Einstein was challenging his professor and asking him, well, if God created everything, there has to be somebody that created everything. So if God created everything and evil exists, then God must have created evil. And
Right.
and what the end, it's a big long post. You're welcome to go to my page because I don't remember all of it. But basically the end of it was that evil is the absence of love. So
Yes.
God didn't create evil. Humans create evil by blocking love or not accepting love or being absent of love or being deprived of love or, however that comes out.
Or rejecting it because of
Right.
what their experience was that programmed their life, their being, their direction, all that programming that we aren't responsible for. I don't know if responsible is the right word, but we are not the cause of what we didn't get to choose our parents. We didn't get to choose when we were born or where. And all of that affects it. It creates the groove, the program, the track that you're running on.
See, I think we chose all of that. I do. I think we chose our parents. I think we chose these conditions. Even, I know people that have my conditions would say, oh, hell no, I would never choose to live like that. But I do believe that we did. At least I believe that I did. I can't speak for everybody else, but I believe that I did. And I've asked my guides, why this? And they said, because you wouldn't put it on anybody else. And I do have conditions that no matter how bad I hated somebody, I would not wish it upon them.
I would
And
not
so
either.
I can totally see myself up there taking that tough assignment, but there's people all over the world that are on tough assignments. We have politicians in the world right now who are on really tough assignments. And I'm just so lucky because I have had many out of body experiences, near death experiences, and met Jesus in one. and the things, excuse me, the things that he shared with me and the things that he told me during that episode, just there's just always a bigger picture. I'll just put it that way. There's just always a bigger picture that we don't see from our little selves here, but we
And I have
totally,
these little lenses now that
yeah,
shrink that picture.
exactly. We have those little lenses. We get
Look
focused
at
down like a microscope. You know, we focus way down onto the where we're looking at a cell or something. And but there's always a bigger picture. And I know we're after the hour, way after the hour. I wish everybody a wonderful week. I'm so glad that
wow.
you joined us, Sherry, and so glad Cheryl and Jane are back. We're so happy to have the three of you. And I'm sure that we are all part of the whole same soul family. I'm positive of that. Love you guys
Yeah.
so much. Have a great week.
Same.
Love you all.
And
Have a
amen.
great
And thank you, Catherine, for telling us about the experience with talking to Jesus. I mean, I would love to explore that a little bit more, maybe another time
I
too.
absolutely. I'm happy to share because it was a total shock to me because I'm not Christian. So like I was completely shocked that I was talking to Jesus. It wasn't like, I had all these preconceived ideas. So
Well,
yeah, we'll
but
talk about that sometime.
yeah, we'll talk about that another time. That would be a great discussion. Okay, take care,
love you
everybody.
all.
Bye, everybody.
Love you. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, for those of you who are watching, if you found this interesting or helpful or anything like that, then give us a like on YouTube, and we'll see you next time on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now.